My name is William J. Dub Lawrence. I was elected in 1974 as Sheriff of Davis County. I want to share this with you. There's an incident that occurred a long, long time ago. I was working as a police officer in Bountiful City. This incident occurred. It was very simple, not significant to me. The press picked it up, and it was carried across the earth. I got fan mail from Paris, France, and this is an article from Singapore. It reads as follows: policeman lives up to town's reputation. Bountiful, Utah, Thursday. This central Utah city of 27,000 people is so honest that when a police officer breaks a traffic law, he gives himself a ticket. Or at least this is what policeman William Lawrence did after he parked his patrol car near an ice cream parlor and walked in and ordered a milkshake. A woman told him he had illegally parked. "We get citations for such violations," she said. "You're right," Mr. Lawrence replied, and walked outside and wrote himself a parking ticket. There's an irony in that story that you don't understand, and I do. 27,000 people got credit for being honest, and I paid the ticket.
If something would be wrong for you to do without a badge, then you shouldn't do it with one either. The idea that uniforms and legislation can give you special rights is both false and horribly dangerous. Nearly every large-scale injustice in history was committed by people who wrongly imagined that their position of authority made it okay for them to do things that other people have no right to do. Like everyone else, you have the right to use force to stop attackers and to protect the innocent. And when you do that, you are the hero. But you have no right to be the attacker, even if it's your job and even if the aggression is called law.
Police are correct! Police are correct! Get on the ground! Who's in this house? What's going on? Keep going through.
What you just saw here is Todd Blair being shot and killed by Agent Troy Burnett.
All right, get on the ground!
What you don't see is the whole story, told by Agent Jared Frankham's helmet camera. Incidentally, Agent Frankham was killed about a year later in a similar raid. Officer Jared Frankham turned his camera on before the raid even started. It's dark, it's nighttime. What you're seeing here is darkness, but you can hear some very important things. The officers actually talk about the cameras and they turn them on as we listen to his recording.
It's the bottom middle one, the middle one, top. You good? Left one, top right one, top right. Can't get history. Bottom records better. The middle one is the record.
Okay, do we want to take the cameras down?
Hey, just everybody out. This is a different crime scene now. All right, let's call him.
All right.
Yeah. The officers forgot to bring the warrant with them.
What's that?
He's there alone. He's got like a little tiny.
He doesn't have a copy of the warrant with him.
In this instance, the officers didn't have to do a knock and announce or announce and enter. They had obtained a key. They could actually open the door with the key without the resident even knowing that they were making an entry.
Hey, you got the key, don't you? Yeah. We're not going to do a door check. Let's run up there and hit it. Okay?
Agent Burnett claimed that he shot and killed Todd Blair because he thought he was brandishing a sword. If an officer feels like his life is in danger or feels threatened, he can kill, even if in fact his life is not in danger. Weber County Attorney D. Smith ruled that Agent Troy Burnett was justified in taking the life of Todd Blair because either he or someone else's life may have been placed in danger. The people on the receiving end of these raids don't have the same consideration, and they're immediately supposed to conclude that it's police officers breaking in. If they do make a mistake and grab something to protect themselves with, they're probably going to die. In most instances, the police are creating this volatility. They're creating the violence. They're creating the situation that may result in a loss of life, either for themselves or for the suspect. They're creating a thin margin of error, yet they're expecting the citizen to be alert enough and quick enough to show a remarkable awareness and situational intelligence under really extreme circumstances.
Looks like we're coming to a stop. I'll have another unit give us the exit number and stand by.
This happened in Davis County. This is the Donna Biggs case. Here in this instance, you've got a person who is intoxicated. The officers have laid out tire rippers, and she's obviously hit them. The vehicle is disabled. All the rubber's gone. There's nothing on the wheels but rims. The vehicle is trapped or stopped and surrounded by police cars. The police units have her surrounded. Her dog is in the front seat. She's obviously pretty impaired. She tries to get the vehicle in gear, revving it up in neutral. She hits the police car, backs up, and she's trapped. She can't go any further, bumps another one. And you can see the officer stepping aside. He's actually, at the time he fires, he's not really in any danger. But here, he uses deadly force to stop a person. The chase is ended. It's trapped. Time is in the officer's favor. County Attorney Troy Rollins ruled deadly force was not justified in this case because the officer was actually not in any danger. Still, unfortunately, under Utah law, an officer is not prosecuted for misuse of deadly force. If a police officer shoots and kills someone that really isn't a threat, he's always forgiven because of the volatility of the situation. There's a remarkable disconnect here where citizens are held to a much higher standard than law enforcement officers are. I think this all goes back to politicians deciding that the threat we face from certain concepts and ideas, that we're willing to let this stuff happen, that we need to be willing to give up our Fourth Amendment rights in order to stop our children from getting high.
For decades, police have been carrying out armed home invasions, forced property confiscations, and other acts of violence against people who weren't hurting anyone, but who engaged in behaviors or habits which lawmakers have arbitrarily declared to be illegal.
There will always be time and pretext enough for people to compromise their principles and put forward poor public policy that may in the short run be popular, but in the long run will be detrimental to the long-term interests of the American people.
When a government or an administration puts forth a policy that takes away our civil liberties, and our name, the United States, does things that we are fundamentally against as a nation, then every person that doesn't stand up and scream, "Stop it, don't do this to my country," is complicit.
These are U.S. citizens. Put your guns down.
Weapons down, damn it!
These American citizens, put your guns down. You hear the people cheering.
Put those damn weapons down!
We're not terrorists. We're American. Put the guns down.
It's not a right-left issue. It's a right-wrong issue. And America has constantly been on the side of what's right. Because when it comes down to it, this is about keeping faith with the idea of America. Because America's an idea, isn't it? I mean, Ireland's a great country, but it's not an idea. Great Britain's a great country. It's not an idea. That's how we see you around the world, as one of the greatest ideas in human history, right up there with the Renaissance, right up there with crop rotation and the Beatles' White Album. The idea, the American idea, it's an idea. The idea is that you and me are created equal. It will ensure that an economic recession need not become an equality recession. The idea that life is not meant to be endured but enjoyed. The idea that if we have dignity, if we have justice, then leave it to us, we'll do the rest. This country was the first to claw its way out of darkness and put that on paper. And God love you for it, because these aren't just American ideas anymore. There's no copyright on them. You brought them into the world. It's a wide world now. I know Americans say they have a bit of the world in them, and you do. The family tree has lots of branches. But the thing is, the world has a bit of America in it too. These truths, your truths, they're self-evident in us.
But really, the only moral, rational answer is this. If something would be wrong for you to do without a badge, then you shouldn't do it with one either. The idea that uniforms and legislation can give you special rights is both false and horribly dangerous. Nearly every large-scale injustice in history was committed by people who wrongly imagined that their position of authority made it okay for them to do things that other people have no right to do. Like everyone else, you have the right to use force to stop attackers and protect the innocent, and when you do that, you are the hero. But you have no right to be the attacker, even if it's your job, and even if the aggression is called law.
We feel the action taken by SWAT and the police officers was inappropriate. You don't torture a suicidal individual.
If he's having any suicidal issues or any kind of emotional problem, do you shoot tear gas at him or do you give him some kind of love? It's love is what he needed. That's all he needed. He needed a hug.
I'm so sorry to Brian's family and friends. He was such a good man.
We can't pray for change and vote for the status quo. Thank you.
Hondas? He's tasing the hell out of him. Don't move. Do not move.
The supreme law of our land guarantees that no state can take life, liberty, or property without due process. We're seeing it every day. We become accustomed to police officers taking life with impunity. Governmental immunity is perhaps the most corrupt law that has ever been passed. Government officials, police officers particularly, can commit crimes with impunity. The whole time Abraham Lincoln was President of the United States, he was engaged in war. A war to make it possible to realize that dream, the dream of equality under the law. We're facing the same challenge today that Martin Luther King experienced more than half a century ago, where the police act with impunity. Citizens are killed routinely, almost on a daily basis, without due process. We still don't have equality under the law. We've witnessed enough tyranny and injustice under color of law. I think we've seen enough blood and horror. Thou shalt not kill still has some meaning for most of us.